also our Deputy Chief Director, Wu Xihua, to present the Certificate of Appreciation. Thank you. Now we will take a group photo of our two honorable speakers. Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, it's great that we're actually sitting down to do this. It makes me less nervous. Hi, for those that don't know me, my name is Kevin. I'm from Sydney. I'm a student at the University of Sydney. And actually, my questions actually focusing a lot on climate change and the future of Taiwan. And I know that Dr. Li远哲actually made a speech on climate change, and I'm quite glad that he's raising awareness of that. I think that climate change is the biggest problem we're facing right now, not just Taiwan, but everyone across the world. So as Dr. Li远哲mentioned, soon there will be COP21 in Paris. We'll also have youth delegates attending that conference, and I think that's when we actually need to give them the most support. But before we get to that, perhaps you guys will be aware that that there's a lot of issues right now with Taiwan's power efficiency and the way we get our power supply. Taiwan relies heavily on heavily on imports. We have the largest power plant in Taichung, and that Taichung power plant is the largest carbon emission in the world. So Taiwan has a lot to decide for its future, where its position is going to be when it comes to climate change. So I believe recently there's a lot of controversial debates over nuclear energy in Taiwan, and I believe both Dr. Tsai Ing-ling and Dr. Li远哲have expressed to oppose the development of Longmen nuclear power plant. And I just need to clarify if this is the issue, where is Taiwan going to get its power supply from, and having to rely heavily on imports, Taiwan is in a very vulnerable position right now, and any external threat could have a great impact in the future of Taiwan. Thank you.
Well, as you mentioned, Taiwan is importing most of the energy we are using in terms of fossil fuel. In the future, I say 50 years along the line, humanity as a whole could depend on sunshine, because the sunshine converts into electricity is very efficient now. But it will have to be done globally. I do not believe Taiwan will find our own solution. So, for example, you came from Australia, the population density is 4 per square kilometer. We have 640 per square kilometer. So you have more than 100 times more sunshine. So in the future, the energy harvested in Australia could become something that could be exported and shared by all. Well, as to the nuclear power plant, we have not learned to deal with the nuclear waste yet. And so if we continue to depend on the nuclear power, it will be creating generational injustice. So that was the reason why Germany stopped nuclear power plant completely. But the second thing is, Taiwan is in the zone of fire, the earthquake. Every 5 years in zone of fire, there's a big earthquake exceeding Richter scale 8, where this time was in Japan, could be in Indonesia or New Zealand, maybe in Taiwan, California. So the earthquake is a big question. The third thing is, we built the fourth nuclear power plant under very undesirable conditions. We purchased the nuclear power from General Electric. At that time, U.S. has not built any nuclear power plant for 20 years. So the chairman of former Atomic Energy Commission, Glenn Seaborg, they advised me, Taiwan, if you want to build a nuclear power plant, never buy from the U.S., but we did anyway. And so we really worry about the safety. I don't know. You want to add something?
Ensuring sufficient supply of energy is going to be the biggest challenge for Taiwan in the next phase of our industrial and economic development. I think by now Taiwan in general has a consensus that we should sooner or later phase out nuclear power for the reason that Dr. Lee has said. But the next question is how are we going to make sure that we do have enough supply of electricity for our industries, for the household users. As you may have known that the DPP has a very ambitious plan to phase out the nuclear power by 2025. So if it's 2025, we'll have 10 years to work on our alternatives energies. So essentially, what we need to do are two things. One, of course, is conservation. Second is to develop alternative source of energy. Talking about conservation, I think by now many scientists and economists would agree with me that we are not doing well in that regard. A lot of electricity is wasted. So we need to develop a good system of conserving energy. That means that we have to establish this, what you may call smart grid and smart meter, to build a whole system, a smart system to utilize, to use the electricity more efficiently. And this is going to be a massive work for us. And secondly, there are a whole range of measures that you have to take to reduce the use of electricity or to use it more effectively. And that means that we have to look at our industrial structure. This industry that require a lot of electricity and consume a lot of electricity have to be phased out, or they have to, change the system they produce their products so that they will be more energy efficient. Now, developing alternative source of energy is a big task as well, especially the solar power and wind power and biogas. And solar power has a lot of potential here. There's no shortage of sunshine here, particularly in the south. So, and we are very good in producing the equipment for solar power generation. So, and the technology is improving every day. So at the end of the day, solar power is going to be very price competitive compared with the power generated by this traditional means. So overall, I would say it's a challenge, but we do have ways to meet that challenge. It's a matter of a collective effort to be made by the population here.
So, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Dr. Lee, Dr. Tsai, delegation. My name is Sarah Lisa Anzaldua. I'm an American author teaching and studying here in Taiwan. And it's an honor to meet you. And as a foreigner who's made my home here, I'm very humbled to have the opportunity to represent the delegation and ask you a question. This conference has been about influence, and most of the presentations, most of the speakers have talked about the influence of business and technology and the path that the world is heading. But I would like to draw attention to the significance of cultural influence. Looking around the room, nearly everyone is wearing Western-style clothes. And I would bet that everyone here has had at least one meal at McDonald's, one drink at Starbucks. We are all exposed to Western influence. And through this cultural influence, the West is able to exert economic and political influence. and I'm very lucky to be here in Taiwan and have the opportunity to be molded by your culture and to experience that influence. I'm a little embarrassed to say that my suit has become tight recently because I love Angugui so much. And I joke to my friends that your government should sponsor Genjun Naicha shops all around the world and simultaneously go on strike. And after the second day of withdrawal from caffeine and sugar, the world will give you whatever you want. So my question is, how can Taiwan use its culture to exert its own economic and political influence? I was fortunate enough to have Taiwanese friends in the US, so I knew about Ju'ing, and that's why I came to Taiwan to learn traditional Chinese. But most foreigners don't know about it. They learn the pinging system, and they have no idea about the rich culture here in Taiwan. And I think it's a shame that most Taiwanese don't take pride in their culture because it's very unique, and there's no place like it in the world.
You are quite right to say that we're very rich in culture because this is actually a multicultural society. And we have people moving into Taiwan at a different time, and they bring in different cultures and influences. So, you have Chinese culture here, and you also have Dutch influence, and you have Japanese influence, and lately the American influence. This place is full of foreign influences and cultures. But what is important for us is to take advantage of this rather unique history and of ours, and then try to be innovative and to try to create a culture of our own. And then try to tell people that this is probably is the best culture in Asia, perhaps. So what I want to say is this: we learn a lot from other countries. We have this small and medium-sized business culture, and we have this food culture. And you talk about Zhenju Naicha. It's not Chinese. It's not American. It's Taiwanese. And but we do have very decent Japanese food here too. So when you come here, you can experience it and expose yourself to different cultures. But we have to ask ourselves what is uniquely Taiwan and Taiwanese culture. And this is something that we have to give a lot of thoughts to. And what is also important for us is trying to tell people that we have a unique culture here, and we need to communicate with the rest of the world. And that's why it's important for someone like you to come here and listen to what we have to say, and have an idea of what we are as a group of people here, living here, and rather than using the industrial products that were produced and use these products thousands of miles away from Taiwan without knowing who actually produced these products, So I appreciate your question, and I admit that this is something that we have to work on, and I see a lot of potential there. So if we can be innovative, this can make business sense. This can make economic sense. Let alone it already make culture sense. But transforming transforming economic and business influence into political influence is another matter. So I think what is more important for us in the political world is our democracy. I mean, in Asia, Taiwanese democracy is pretty unique, and we have struggled for a long time in order to have the democracy that we have today. And this is a democracy built by the Taiwanese people of different ethnic origins. And of course, this is a multiracial society, a multicultural society. So what is great in this society is this word, diversity. Now, diversity is good in the sense that you have diversified culture and that make economic and social sense as well. But at the same time, if you have diversity, you may be running the risk of becoming a divided society. So it's a challenge for Taiwanese people that with this diversity, we can be a more united society rather than a divided society. And that requires a good democracy. And that is exactly what we are having now. So culture is a very important thing. And this diversity deriving from culture and ethnic origin, it has become an asset for us, but at the same time a challenge for us. But we managed to develop a good democracy, to make best use of this diversity we have here. So this is something we're proud of. And the democracy, the Taiwanese democracy, is going to be something very unique in Asia. And the Asian people should look at our democracy and consider that as the major achievement of Taiwanese people.
About 15 years ago, there's a young scholar came back to Taiwan, tried to work for Academia Sinica. And after a week, he watching TV and newspaper and came to my office and said, President Lee, how can I live in a society like this? So I said, well, you should turn off TV and stop watching newspaper, go to countryside and spend a week and then come back to talk to me. And he did. After 1 week, he said, Professor Lee, Taiwan is really a lovely place. Not in the city, in the countryside. The relation between people and the land, people are very warm. And the same thing was said by the parent of French ambassador. When they are visiting Taiwan, they say, Taiwan is a lovely place with great culture. And when I asked, where did you go? He said, they spend whole week in the countryside. So we have to think about it. We think about what the culture of Taiwan is. We could spend 10 kilowatt on the average to live on, or 2 kilowatt, like people in the countryside are living. There are tremendous difference, and I hope you will find something good in the countryside of Taiwan, which is not in existence in the city. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cheng Xiangru. I'm 18 years old and a recent graduate from Taipei Private Yinping High School. So sorry I can't vote for you this round. Well, and sadly, I have to say, I belong to what we all call the bomb generation. We are born into problems like national debt, extravagant housing prices, saturated career markets, industries moving abroad, and the environmental issues Dr. Lee mentioned before. And the young generation is growing more and more aware of our circumstances, from the sunflower movement, the Occupy Central umbrella movement, and the most recent, the course outline textbook controversy, which DPP kindly provided umbrellas for them. There has been an awakening. So my question is, for a youngster such as myself, struggling so hard to survive under this system, how should we face this era? Or how could we change to do so?
Chairman Tsai, answer first.
It's a democracy, you decide.
Okay. I would say, if you said you are a bomb generation, I would say that you should explode. Why didn't explode? Right? If you're a bomb generation, you keep the bombs safe. Then things will not change. I agree with you. We are in a society which is very unfair, very unfair. I was just talking to Chairman Tsai. You know, in our society, government is operating with 13% of GDP. Government is using 13% of GDP operating the government. And the reason is not that we are not paying the tax. Many industry rich are not paying the tax. Compared to Norway or Sweden, their government is running with 40% of GDP, and he has a taxation system, redistribute the wealth, and that's what we are not doing. So I said, you should explore. What you said is just right, correct? It's not fair, right? The people come back to Taiwan and say, economy is booming, and the real estate cost price will be going up and be out of your reach. So economy is booming, you're not benefiting from the booming economy. And then I've been complaining all the time. So this is a good chance to put some pressure on Chairman Tsai. She will be the next president, and she will have a chance to mobilize the people to change it. Please.
Well, you asked me what you can do. Following Dr. Lee's comment, I guess what you can do is to grow up quickly and try to be able to get yourself eligible for voting and write for the right person. It's a pity that you have 2 years to go. I want to remind you that the DPP did have this proposal to lower the voting age to 18 rather than the 20 years of age. You're quite right. I mean, sometimes when we're facing the young generation asking questions of this kind, I'm short of words to respond because I feel so guilty. But on the other hand, as I said in my speech just now, you are a generation that are best educated ever in Taiwan, and you're best equipped to deal with the challenge, despite the fact the challenges facing you are, very, very difficult. So that makes your life more exciting, isn't it? You are a better equipped, a young generation, but at the same time you're facing the most difficult challenge. But we have to do our job, our generation. So in terms of that, the Taiwan financial difficulty is there. So we have to have good control over the growth of debt in this country. So I have asked my finance people to come up with a plan to actually have a good control over the growth of the national debt at the central level and at the local level as well. But at the same time, the economy has to be better because a good economy generates good tax income, and that in turn improves the financial situation of the country. So what we need to do, on the one hand, is try to control the size of the debt and try to have a good reform of it so that the national resources can be used efficiently. But at the same time, the use of the national resources should be fair and equitable. So that is one thing. The other thing is, of course, the industrial reform, and we need to build new industries, meaning new industries, new job opportunities for the young generation. So I think in the next few years, we'll be seeing massive efforts made to restructure our economy and our industry here. Without doing all this, we can't we will not be able to face the competition from outside. I mean, China is catching up. The Southeast Asian countries are catching up. And we have to make ourselves more competitive. But our future competitive cannot be cost-based. It has to be innovation value-based economy. And that requires innovation from the young generation. And when we are moving towards a innovation value-based economy, that means a lot of ventures, a lot of risks too, and a lot of young people participation in all this effort. So you have to be prepared that you may fail again and again before you succeed. So you're talking about culture. This culture of getting used to failure is a very important thing for the young generation, because while we're building an economy which is based on innovation, this is a high-risk venture and require a lot of effort and contribution by the young generation, because you're best equipped. But what is needed from you is to get ready to fail again. But eventually you will succeed. So this is the kind of thing we should do, is to facilitate and build infrastructure for the young people to participate in this new venture, and then control the debt size. But at the same time, you have to be courageous. You have to be, used to this idea of failure. That's enough for an answer?
I think it's enough to ask her whether she has convinced you to vote for her.
Yeah, President side, wait for me for 2 more years, please.
Okay. 2 more years. She'll be in office 2 more years.
No, I'll vote for you for your 5 to 8 years.
Yeah, you should say, I will convince my relatives, my parents to vote for her. Okay. Then she'll be happier.
You definitely have a clear preference for your presidential choice, huh?
For those who don't know me, I hail from India, and my name is Aditya Jain. I am studying chemistry in the Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. So my question is structured on the number of interactions I've had with various students in Taiwan, plus my own observations and a little research that I've done. So I'm a budding entrepreneur, and I'm currently working on a startup. So I just read an article which said that Taiwan was ranked the best in Asia to do business. And it was in the top 10 in the list of 130-odd countries, according to the 2015 Global Entrepreneurship Index. So, but sadly, in contrast to this, there are competitive skills or startup skills and the risk appetite that is missing in Taiwan. So, especially when you think of brain drain from Taiwan, it leads to immigrant talent in regions like the Silicon Valley, and whatever wealth is generated out of the innovations done by Taiwanese flows back into the valley, right? So this is probably one of the major reasons why the potential technology clusters in Taiwan fade even before they start. So I find it very interesting because this has stark similarities to the Indian model. But over the past 2 or 3 years, there have been recent developments, political developments, that have changed the entire scenario. And there's a whole positive vibe of startup culture in the country. So my question to you, esteemed panelists, would be, how do you think that students, especially, can be encouraged and driven to be job creators instead of job seekers? And to further ask you, how do you plan to integrate industry, academia, and education?
Yeah, that's a big question. That has been the question people in India try to ask me all the time. I've been to India many times, attending your National Science Congress, and always ask a similar question. But what I want to say is, you said, if you are a scientist, you will find a job for yourself. But if you are an entrepreneur, then you will create lots of jobs for others. So school like Caltech, the member of the board of trustees will go there once a year and try to teach students to be entrepreneur rather than an engineer, and it's a good thing. But one thing I want to tell you is that as I stated in my presentation, world is changing. In the past, we depend on the production, consumption, produce, and people buy things and try to compete in the market, develop the economy. But things have changed. The system from infinity become a finite system. So we cannot keep on creating, consuming. We have to create something that will allow us to develop in a different way. So I would say that I mentioned that if we go to deep decarbonization, what kind of industry and what kind of lifestyle, how society should change in order to accomplish the deep decarbonization to allow the next generation to live well. And that will be one boundary condition you have to put ahead of you, then to think about what is the science and technology. So, as I said, sunshine give us lots of energy. In 1 hour, they give the energy to the surface of the earth. It's equivalent to the energy human society use for whole year. We are not smart enough to use those energy. And if you want to go to deep decarbonization, you have to transfer the energy, maybe electricity or some other form, to let everybody share. And that will be scientific, technological frontier that one has to work on. If you can do it, then you create a lot of jobs, and then you'll be a good entrepreneur. You might make lots of money, but I hope you donate all the money after you make it. So things are different. So India and Taiwan, there are some similarity. But one bad thing we are doing is we follow in the footsteps of so-called overdeveloped country and always develop the city with freeway, shopping mall, automobile, and I don't think that's really a development. So whenever we talk about problem in Asia, I always try to convince people in Asia we have to find a new way. We really find a new way, new society, and we don't need 10 kilowatts. We can live very happily with 2 kilowatts. And how can we do it? That's all the responsibility of all of us.
I think this startup culture is very important for the young generation who want to be a job creator rather than job seeker. I think for the young generation, the existing job markets are not providing enough quality jobs for people. They have to create their own jobs, the young generation. So for them to create their own jobs, or for themselves and for others, the most important thing is networking, and secondly, a good capital market. So, and networking meaning that you know where to find people to work with, people who can help you. So Dr. Lee talked about engineer becoming entrepreneur. So many people can be both engineer and entrepreneur at the same time. But many others are not. I mean, you may be a good engineer, but you don't know much about business. So you have to find someone to help with the business development of your research products. So I just started. So it's a matter of building and networking. And making the right kind of connections. So the job of the government is to create that sort of platform, build that infrastructure for that networking to happen. So I think the best networking is Silicon Valley, Taiwan, and India. And if you want to add one more, it's perhaps Israel. You have all the talents there. It's a matter of connecting all of them together so you have a good talent pool to create something innovative. Secondly is the capital market. for the startups, for the innovation-based startup, it's all high risk. So you need to have a good capital market who can manage the risk well. And it's not here yet. But there is a good system in Silicon Valley. And we can make our system integrate with the Silicon Valley's capital market structure so that the capital market and the capital providers will be able to know how to manage the risk associated with a venture, innovation-based venture. So again, this is something of an integration, meaning you integrate the market, the capital market here in Taiwan and there in Silicon Valley and even in Boston. I mean, you have talents there, you have people who are particularly good at managing risk when you're talking about capital markets. So we have a lot to work together with India. I mean, our two economies are complementary. There's a lot of complementarity between our two economies. So in my view, for the next 10 years, India is going to be one of the most valuable partner in the R&D and innovation world, as far as Taiwan is concerned. So perhaps that answers your question.
Well, we have one thing in common. The disparity between rich and poor is widening, and so this bomb generation should explode, right? And that's something I would encourage you to.
He is becoming a revolutionist, you know.
I'm not becoming, I have been a revolutionist.
And he is still a revolutionist.
Well, I have to, what I'm doing. You know, a long time ago, Diana Sporin said, young man, when you guys tell the professors that you are wrong, and if you turn out to be right, that's the moment science will make progress. If teacher is always right, you are done in it, science will never make progress. So never believe in what all the generation said. Try to find the truth and try to make the new world for yourself. And that's my final conclusion. Let you say the final word.
If you're telling them not to listen to what we have to say, why are we here answering their questions then?
So we are here to tell them all our experiences, to let them understand what we are thinking. That's important. And they do not have to believe in us.
Yes, what you say is that our experiences are important for your reference, but our advice, you better not to listen to what we have to say as advices.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Advice might not be good enough, and you have to find the solution yourself. Well, thank you very much for your attention and wonderful discussion.
Thank you very much for this discussion. Honorable speakers and representative delegates, please hold on stage for a group photo. Thank you.